All set.
Hello and welcome to Hops and Bros. This week
On Craft Beer 101, Schwarzbier.
Schwarzbier. Is that like the smoked meat in Montreal?
Yeah. So smoked meat beer?
For an open window on the craft beer world. Max and Chris from Hops and Hops and Welcome to Hops and Bros. Yeah.
Ficka.
So yes, this week Schwarzbier, which is basically a black lager. Okay, like correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty much all the descriptions I had.
Yeah.
Like the different names is like it was black beer, black lager. So,
Yeah. If I read the label correctly on this fantastic Schwarzbier from our good friends at Vrooden, shout out to
if
Vrooden.
you want the closest representation of a German beer in Quebec or in Canada, they're the ones to go with.
Yeah, this is the
German
closest you can
equipment,
get
all
from.
German malts. Yeah, it's a great brewery for that stuff.
Oh yes. So this is a recommendation from Alex on Facebook that told us that he wanted to hear more about Schwarzbier and recommended this particular beer to pair with this Craft Beer 101. So without further ado, Max, let's dive into the history of this great little beer.
Well, first off, I just want to say, guys, and girls, whoever's watching the videos, Alex has given us so many ideas for the 101s. You guys can send them too. Alex is mostly using Facebook, so same thing. If you guys want to send us a recommendation for Craft Beer 101, go through Facebook, go through Instagram, go through our Twitter, anywhere really that we can see it, and we'll add it to the list.
Exactly. So, history behind Schwarzbier, Max. Where did it start it off?
Well, first off, the first Schwarzbier that I've ever had was a black lager from Sam Adams. So Jim Cook is one of the first ones. I believe I was going to Boston to go see the Dropkick Murphys, and on the way we picked up some beers, and one of them was the black lager that they have, which was really good. Back then, I wasn't 21 yet. I think I was 20. So I had to drink like in secret. It was pretty funny. It was a good time for sure.
Yeah. This is.
Or was it?
I'm used to it. I'm used to
21,
it.
anyways. Huh?
I'm used to that thing, to drinking, because in Quebec it's 18 and in Ontario it's 19. So when we were going to shows in Ottawa, then we had to kind of be underage, but still work our way to get alcohol.
Yeah, they have the marker with the big X's on your hands, and then you have the girls in the bathroom trying to get it off because they want to get hammered. It's fucking hilarious, man. Love going to concerts. Miss it so much. Anyways, so Schwarzbier. Just before the show, me and Chris were talking, and in the history that I saw, it was 1390s, Eastern Germany.
Yeah.
Where they started brewing darker beers, so using darker malts with their lagers, and created the black lager. So essentially, it's almost a stout, but with lager yeast. Now, Chris mentioned, well, I thought it was 800 years BC, and I'm like, you know what? I think you're right. I did read that initially it was made with burnt bread, just as a lot of beer that were in the ancient times, they would actually make a bread first and then use that bread to make beer. That was just the process that they would use for many styles in many parts of the world, until they figured that, we can just cut the middleman and go straight with the malts. I believe it's because the natural yeast that was in the bread would also work in the beer, but I could be wrong.
I think it's 100%. Kind of the way it worked at first, because the yeast in the bread can actually ferment at one point and eat up sugar and create alcohol, but I'm not sure that it produces CO2 actually, and they didn't really got that figured out in those ages, like capturing the gas, right? Yeah,
CO2, like carbonated beer wasn't a thing, just like there were no clear beers either. There was no clear glasses. Everything was very murky, and it was basically the process of boiling was the important part in this case, because that was killing all the bacteria, so your water was clean. Now also with the alcohol and the natural preservatives, you were helping out your beer. So Schwarzbier, Germany, Eastern Germany, and Same story as the lagers, but on a darker side. Now, the two cities that are of note in this case are Thuringia and Saxony,
Whew.
I believe. The two first cities.
So it's on the dark side of lagers.
Yeah, it's on the dark side of lagers, but also other sources would just mention Eastern Germany. Now, the first recorded beer was in 1390, and it was the Brunswick Mumm, the first dark lager or Schwarzbier as it would. Now, that's pretty much what I have, Chris. Now, what's a Schwarzbier?
So brewing a Schwarzbier mostly remains into the malt bill that you're creating for your beer. So Max is currently studying those kind of stuff, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be a lot more interested with what I have to say now.
My first couple classes were malts. My first one was water. Water is super important in beer. Like, you have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows Pilsen, correct? Like, the place to have a Pilsner, because their water's so soft, they were able to create this just delicious, clean, clear, fresh beer.
Yeah.
But then also in Germany, they have Pilsners, German Pilsners, which are basically the same ingredient build, just the water's different. And those two styles, those two beers, completely different.
Yeah.
The second was malts, where I finally understand the difference between a darker malt and a paler malt, and why all the beers have the same. Usually you have a larger build of the lighter malt, and then the rest is called coloring malt, that add maybe sometimes some sweetness, some roastiness, but they're never more than a percentage of your build, and should never be more than, like, I don't know, 20%, 50% if you're being a little extreme.
Yeah, and you're entirely right on that point.
Yeah, and one of the reasons is mostly because in the kilning process of when you're creating malts, for the darker ones, you extract more sugar in that process, so they virtually have no sugar as soon as they hit the boiling water. So you're not extracting any alcohol, any of those flavors. You're extracting all the caramel and roasted and coffee flavors. Anyways, we can get into malts if you guys want it. Just send us a message. But until then, Chris, please continue.
Yeah, so basically, no, that's fine. I'm really glad you dive deep into this subject, because it's important to understand that the Schwarzbiers are literally built from, like, so we're talking about 40 to 50% Munich malt, which are like kind of like a brownish colored, but they can be golden too, malts plus Pilsner. So like 40-50% Munich, 30-40% Pilsner, and then the rest is coloring malts. So it's literally 80% of the full recipe that's basically just golden base malts, not darker malts like Max said. I don't know why every time I just answer to Max, I look at him on the computer. It's just weird. Sorry, I'm talking to you guys.
Well, just to give you guys a little insight, right now, like on this side, right over here is my computer, and we're FaceTiming. That's why we have the headphones, and that's why we seem like we're talking one after the other in concise. We're not timing this. It's really because Chris is there. He's just, he's ones and zeros right now.
Yeah, exactly. Ones and zeros. Yeah, that feels just weird.
It's kind of true. Like right now, Chris, we are being translated in ones and zeros, and then expulsed or we travel light years, light distances to be able to communicate. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Where was I with all that? Yeah. So once you did your good grain bill, so it's basically a good lager, but a darker good lager. But the key component in a Schwarzbier, it's the balance between the roastiness and the cleanliness of the hop character in there, because you need to get those hop character without jumping into the black IPA side of things. But you also have to be a little bit more conservative on the roasty side of your beer, because you don't want it to be on stout or porter side of things. So it's really a really hard beer to brew because of that, because you get the lagering process, which is something we already told everyone how hard it is to nail properly. Then balancing out your hop character, which with hops like Hallertau and Saz, which are really clean hop, a lot of floral flavors to it, and then get a proper grain bill that actually pushes a little bit of the roastiness, not too much, but you still get that nice clean finish of a lager beer, but it's dark. So a lot of cool thing happening, but also a lot of clean stuff going on in this type of beer. You can't really hide bad flavors in this one. So I think this is the most important thing to know about Schwarzbier. It's a lot harder than you think to brew.
Chris, beer is hard in general to brew.
I know, I know.
And that's the beauty of it. That's why not everyone can do it, although everyone can do it, you know? As long as you try and you're willing to make mistakes at first, it's a beautiful thing. Brewing is awesome.
It's a beautiful thing. So this is how I imagine Schwarzbier in general. There's a few really good examples out there on the beer market, whether you're in Ontario. Bose does a really good one. But also, if you happen to be on the Quebec side, Vrooden does a fantastic one. And there's a few, a couple of really good examples out there in the old worldwide market. Of course, if you want an original one, find a German one. But don't limit yourself to that.
Oh, there's some great stuff in Canada. Vrooden's a phenomenal example of really the closest you can have German-style beers in Canada or in Quebec.
Yeah, exactly.
The one thing to keep in mind is that the hops that you will get over there versus the hops that you will get here will always be a little different. Now, in the sense that say you're using Saz hops, well, that's grown over in Germany or whatever, they're going to be a lot fresher. And by the time they get here, they're not quite as fresh. And also, they're probably the small pickings.
Yeah.
Because the big brewers over there already have all the contracts. So you got to keep that in mind, that there's a reason why some styles are better in Germany and other styles are better here. I would never really want to drink an American-style IPA in Europe because it's not yet what they're known for.
Exactly, yeah.
Although I could be surprised, and I wish I will be surprised one day. But it's just, keep in mind that a little bit like the saisons in the farmhouses, where the region where it's brewed is as important as just having it in your hand. And when you go somewhere, don't go for what you know, go for what that place is renowned for.
Yeah, exactly. I think it sums up pretty much how you should choose your next Schwarzbier. I think I'm pretty good at pronouncing it now since we talked about it for like 10 minutes. Schwarzbier.
I think it's Schwarz, but honestly, I've got no idea how to actually pronounce it.
Yeah.
No clue.
What's your weirdest pronunciation style that you know? Like, put it down in the comment there. Like, Hefeweizen, Schwarzbier, Berliner Weiss, Goses. I don't know. Just vote, vote it in the comments down there. I'd like to see what you guys think about that.
And also let us know what you want to see in the next Craft Beer 101. And on a side note, if you want to send me an email at beer@hopsandbros, and you name it Max in the bottom, let me know which beers, if you have any hints on home brewing, what you brew usually, what you think would be a good style to start with, and what is doable in a smaller setup. That'd be great, just so I have a couple ideas of what I want to start with on my home brewing side. That said, if you guys want to buy some beer, there's a very easy way to do it. Check us out on Patreon, $5, and you get to eliminate the hassle of having to send us some beer, because you're just sending ones and zeros in the form of money, of which you tell us, hey, you guys go get that beer now because I gave you money, and we'll go because that's what we do.
Exactly, and that said, so if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because it really helps us grow a little bit. And also, no worries, Jaron, I'll be heading down to Small Pony. I know they just won some awards. You want us to talk about it, we'll do it.
Bronze and silver, I think, eh?
Yeah, bronze and silver in barrel-aged sours.
And also, I think Bose won a gold in something. I don't remember what it was, but I saw it real quick on Facebook earlier.
Yeah, I'm not really a award groupie.
No, honestly, initially this year we were supposed to be there. I really wanted to go because, as you guys know, I love Halifax. But instead, I'm in brewing school, which, priorities.
Priorities.